Amazing. Absolutely, truly amazing. And I smiled all the way to my car back at First Coast News from the stadium. I'll tell you all about it. Y'all already know, man. Locked on Jaguar.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I made it across the river, and now I'm here with you, Jaguar fans, because this is a very, very special, special night. I thought last weekend was special. Tonight is super special, and I'm glad that you decided to make us your first listen, because here on Locked On Jaguars, it's your team every day. Reminding you that we're free on all platforms, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you tap in, subscribe, and hit that like button also. Now, I'm blown away. I told you in the introduction, I smiled all the way to my car because I saw something in the fan base that I had only dreamed would happen. And that is they really left that game chanting Duval, and they really connected and resonated with the play on the field. Anybody who's listened to me do a podcast, I've always said I wanted the play on the field to be representative of what I believe this community is. And what you saw tonight in a 31-30 walk-off field goal, game-winning field goal, 36-yard field goal from a team that had been down 27-0, who had turned the ball over 5 times, whose quarterback threw 4 interceptions in the first half. You saw a Duval, Jacksonville, Florida-like resilience. You've been talked about. You've been picked at. Early as this week, folks were talking about you guys gonna get your franchise moved. Y'all ain't got no fans. Yeah. Take that one. Take that one. And I didn't give up on them. I figured if my grandmother, I can't say the word, she say, never shovel blank on yourself. Blank, it rhymes with it. And I said, if they just stop messing around, and they gave the ball to the Chargers 3 times inside their own 16-yard line. And the other possessions, the only possessions the Chargers in the first half, when the Jaguars scored their only touchdown to make it 27-7, the only possession that the Chargers did not get the ball beyond their own 42-yard line was when the Jaguars kicked it off. I said, all they have to do is don't shovel crap on yourself, right? And the other thing that they have to do, unfortunately, when you're down 27-0, I said they can't let them get a touchdown. Because you give them a touchdown, that's 27 points. That's 4 touchdowns that you're going to need. If you hold them to 2 field goals, there's a way you can do this with a couple of 2-point conversions and a field goal here or there for yourself. And I kept doing the math, and then it was like tick, 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 the clock. If you notice, when I was saying tick, 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 about a minute later, when I said it on social media, about a minute later, Doug declined to put the Chargers out of field goal range and make them go 3rd down again, because he didn't want them to convert, because the Jaguars had to score twice, and then they missed the field goal. So now all you need is a touchdown and an extra point to tie, but a touchdown, extra point, and a field goal to tie, a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and then a field goal to win. And that's exactly what happened. Missed the field goal, Jags scored a touchdown, Joey Bosa gets a dumb penalty, Jaguars go for it, Trevor Lawrence reaches across, gets 8 points instead of 7. It's a 2-point game. They stop the Chargers. Then after that, game-winning drive. Gutsy 4th down call. They sealed it. Hey, Juwan, you got to seal it. And handed the ball to Travis Etienne. They were on the hash, the far left hash, so they had all of that room on the right, and they said just outrun them. And I don't know where Derwin James was, because at that point I said, find number 3 and go the other way. I think before the Chargers called a timeout, Derwin James was on the right side, and maybe they still ran it at him. But somehow, some way, Travis Etienne converted, got him into closer range, milked the clock, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are advancing. They're advancing. They're moving on to the next round of the playoffs. We'll find out tomorrow who they play. In all likelihood, they'll have to go to Arrowhead and play the Chiefs. And you know what? We ain't never scared. This hat personifies this team, and it personifies the people of this city. And this is what it's all about. Duval till we die. I had people on the Locked On Podcast Network inboxing saying, they never said this before, that they wish they were in Duval County. Folks, this team is for real. That quarterback is for real. But the man of the hour to me is Doug Peterson. I'm going to do some body numbers, go over the statistics, and then talk to you about some of the things that Doug Peterson actually did that made me go, oh my God, this dude really knows what he's doing. By the way, Doug Peterson apparently told the team that outside of the Super Bowl win that he had with Philadelphia, this is the best game he's ever been a part of for himself. So that says an awful lot about what this game actually meant and actually means. And I'm basically, y'all ain't never really seen me speechless, but I am that way right now. So stand by. I'm going to get to all of that and get to the bottom numbers. I'm going to talk about Doug Peterson and what he's meant, and I'll get some more into why this meant so much for me, for the fans here in Jacksonville. And I'll do it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. Today's sponsor for our show is Ultimate Football GM, Locked On NFL's Ultimate Football GM. This is an absolutely fire game you guys have to check out. I'm really geeked about it. It's the mobile game, Ultimate Football GM. If you've ever dreamed of becoming an NFL GM, and I know most of you have because you argue with me about how to team build all the time and managing your football franchise where your dream can come true, and this game is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. You're responsible for hiring the right coach and coordinators, trading players, making draft picks, navigating your franchise through free agency and the draft, and all the ups and downs that come along with it. Now, last week I was on a plane going back and forth to our nation's capital. You put your phone in airplane mode. If you have the app, which you should, and you go on and it works. So while you're on your flight, you'll have a whole season where you can make all of the transactions you want to. Now, Locked On Jaguars listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On, all caps, one word, in the game store. That's Locked On, all caps. So make sure you check it out today. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the App Store. That's ultimategm.com. Ultimate Football GM. Start your dynasty today. And today's show is brought to you and sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the real deal. It's something very, very serious because we go through ups and downs in life, and sometimes you think that you can fix yourself. Well, you know what? Yourself doesn't come with a manual for yourself to help you through life's issues and problems. Tell you what you need. You need real professional therapists and counselors who can help you. Therapists who are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions and learn productive coping skills, which makes therapy the closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine called you. Everyone deserves to feel their best, and BetterHelp makes it easier to get started. Get unstuck with BetterHelp. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lockedon. I have used BetterHelp to help me cope with things that had to do with relationships or just getting older and having pain management issues and the depression that may come along with it. So BetterHelp can help you find a therapist, and they'll help you find another therapist if that one doesn't work. So that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. We thank you for making us your first listen here on Locked On Jaguars. It's a special postcast edition, playoff edition. Man, I'm ecstatic. There are people in the comments that are making comments. I'll try to get to some of them here in just a second. But first, I got to do a little bit of by the numbers for you. 31-30, the Jaguars were outscored 27-7 in the first half. That touchdown right before the half was really helpful because in the second half, they outscored the Chargers 24-3. Trevor Lawrence, 28 for 47, 288 yards, while everybody was saying they're going to make a 30 for 30 about not Jalen Rams, oh my God, about Jameis Winston throwing 30 touchdowns and 30 picks. How about a 30 for 30 on Trevor Lawrence, throwing 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, right? Travis Etienne, one of my highlights of the game, I said Travis Etienne needed to have a big game. He did just that with 20 carries, 109 yards. I really think those quick handoffs opened up the offense. Those quick, it was almost like they were running a Clemson offense. I sat there and told my friend Cole Pepper, I said, they're running a Clemson offense. It was just straight handoffs, dive plays, almost like a veer offense. And he was getting chunks and chunks of yards. And then they caught Zay Jones over the top. 4 different receivers caught touchdowns. Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk. Evan Ingram had a big game, by the way, 93 yards with 1 touchdown. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones was one of the others that I said that had to have a big game. You look at his stats, you say 3 catches for 29 yards and a tutty. That's not that big. If you go back and look at the game and watch the ebb and flow of the game, Marvin Jones made those catches in a bunch of big moments. How about that defense? The others that I spoke of. In this case, Roy Robertson Harris was huge. He had 5 tackles with 2 assists, and he had a sack, along with some of those tackles were tackles for losses in the running game. So Roy Robertson Harris, I think he had the best game that he's had in his entire career. And then in the second half, the secondary really, really got it together. I want to talk about Dougie real quick before we get too much time off and have to shut it down. Saving his timeouts, knowing when to decline penalties, and having a feel for and an understanding for what that clock is saying. And he knew he had to score twice, and he didn't care about pushing them out of field goal range. And plus, that kid could have probably kicked it from Daytona because he made a 50-yarder earlier, and he had like 10, 12 yards to go. The conventional thinking is you push them out of field goal range and you hope that you can hold them down on third down. But the thing is when you give them that long 3rd and 18, they had converted those earlier, and Justin Herbert can really throw the ball in there. So the worst thing that you wanted to happen was you give them another down and they convert. They get 19 yards, and now they run 3 more plays, and tick, tick, tick runs the clock down to the point where you don't get a chance to score and get the ball back. So they really wanted to hold him at that point. You couldn't let them eventually get a touchdown because now they go up 17 points. You were hoping that exactly what happened, that they go up 13, but they missed the field goal, and that was really, really critical. Going for 2, not making it, and then coming back and going for 2 and saying, you know what, we ain't trying to tie up nothing. We're going to win the game. I think he realized because their kicker can kick it a little bit further, you do not want to go in overtime with these people. Get them out of here right now. So we're not trying to tie it. We're trying to win it. And if we have to try to, they would rather score 8 and then go for a game-winning field goal, or score 6 and have to go for a game-winning touchdown than tie the game up and go into overtime. So kudos to him. This is what I told everyone about earlier this year, that what he was going to do was he's going to be aggressive, and you can like it or not like it, but he was aggressive. He was going to be aggressive. That is exactly what he was going to do. That's who he is. And it pays off. When it pays off, you love it. When it doesn't pay off, you're like, oh my God, why did he do that? But I think early in the year, he was just practicing. This is who we're going to be. We're going pedal to the metal. And the example that I gave, I talked to JT the Brick today on Mad Dog Radio. The example that I gave was these Jacksonville Jaguars are like kids on a roller coaster. They don't know that that you're actually supposed to be afraid when you're on the roller coaster. Like, we get older and we get afraid to do things that we used to do when we were kids. Well, they're still young enough that they ain't never scared. What deficit? Ooh, scared of what? They're not scared. And once again, it goes back to this. This is what it is. This team plays to this identity. This team plays the way they almost play the way our community acts. Like, we'll argue amongst each other. I've been arguing with people on Twitter on my way home. Which, let me check y'all on something. Somebody said I was going to say something, and I am going to say something. If you argue with me right now after that game, you need some therapy. You ain't got no bigger advocate than me for this city. I'm not saying other people don't, but you just don't. You don't. You know? I'm going to try to get to some of these, but I see some of these comments. I absolutely cannot repeat them. I don't know if people have been on the water or whatever, but y'all need to relax, man. Have a good time. Please make it home safely by all means. Have a great time. I am going to probably be on Locked On NFL Monday. I'm probably going to be on Locked On Sports Today on Monday. I'm going to have a Jaguars podcast on Monday. And I'm just going to bask in this just like all of y'all. Sometimes, when you do this for a living and you're a professional, it seems like you're not human. I'm human. I am just as stuck as everybody else. My heart is pounding. I don't know what to feel. I don't think I'm going to sleep. It feels like Christmas Eve. I'm just sharing in that with y'all, man, because I'm not going to sit there and act like what I saw and what I witnessed is something that happens every day. It's not. But your Jacksonville Jaguars are real, man. They are absolutely real. And y'all need to stand up and be proud. Kudos to the team for not quitting. Kudos to the team for having this fighting spirit that I didn't even know that they were capable of. And like I said, kudos to Doug Peterson. I will, however, on Monday, tell y'all why that they still have some things that they need to do. I'm going to save it for right now. Right now, we're not even going over all of that stuff. Everybody's too full and too happy. I want everybody to rejoice tonight and do it safely. But I will tell you that I did jot some notes down about some areas where they need some significant improvement if they're going to see. Now I'm getting greedy. I want them to fulfill. I want this thing to be right for the next decade. I want them to fulfill their promise and live up to everything that they have and all of their potential. So I'm one of those guys that wants more and more and more. So I'll talk next week about where I see some holes at and where we need to see guys step up at. We'll do all of that this week on Locked On Jaguars. Of course, we'll have our crossover show on Thursday, getting ready for whoever they play. And we'll just rejoice some more, man. We're going to keep this party going until Monday. Make sure you tune into the Locked On Jaguars podcast. Make it your first listen. Make your second listen. Locked On Sports Today. Jacksonville, 31-30. Jacksonville. We did it, man. We did it. This city is on fire. The game was fun. Every single person out there, they did not leave. Folks asked me if they were leaving. I said, no, they're just going to concession stand. It's cold out there. They came back in and the stands filled back up. And those players needed every single bit of it. Shout out to Jags PR. I told the PR manager, the director of PR, I said they're going to win. I knew it was going to be some good stuff too when I saw Dan Edwards, our friend Dan Edwards. I saw him upstairs and I spoke to him. So you guys, man, make sure you take care of yourself. Please do everything tonight within moderation and safety. I want everybody to make sure you make it back and tune in. I'm sorry I didn't get to enter the live comments. It's just too much. I can't do it. Everybody is on emotional overload right now. Just so y'all know, it's Duval till we die. Until Monday, be safe, take care of each other, and we'll see you.